We're going to continue now speaking about dualism and also about theism. Dualism is the idea that there are two kinds of substances, two realities. There's mind and there's matter. Theism is the image that there's an all-powerful God, the usual traditional religious image, an all-powerful God who created the world, who puts together the mind and the matter, who places souls within us. When we die, our bodies return to the ground, and this all-powerful God takes our souls from us, but there are two different realities, mind and matter, body and soul, the material world and the spiritual world, and how do they interact with one another? That's one of the big questions of dualism, and if you're a theist, if you believe in theism, you're going to say that simply God put our soul in our body, God causes our body and our soul to interact, God takes our soul when the time comes. But that begins to raise a number of questions. The greatest dualist among the philosophers was Rene Descartes. And Rene Descartes believed that only human beings have a soul. Look at animals, look at dogs or cats or bears or lions. They don't have a soul, they have no kind of consciousness, they're just almost like little machines. They have bodies but no souls, matter but no minds. I think anybody who's ever had a pet realizes that Descartes was wrong. Even most of his contemporaries felt that Descartes was wrong. That mind goes down, it's not just human beings. And in fact, Jewish mysticism teaches that there are various levels of the soul. And a dog would have a lower level of the soul, a cat would have a lower level of the soul. But how far down do we go? And that's one of the big questions of theism. Do grasshoppers or insects have consciousness? Do amoebas have consciousness? At what level? Is there a point in evolution where up to this point there is no consciousness, and then things get complicated enough that consciousness enters the world? Or is there consciousness all the way down? It reminds me of a story about a woman at a lecture from a professor who says, there's an elephant standing on the back of a turtle. And the woman raises her hand and says, and what's the turtle standing on? Another turtle. The woman raises her hand, and what's that turtle standing on? And the professor answers, Madam, it's turtles all the way down. Is it consciousness all the way down? Is their mind all the way down to the lowest level, even before the evolution began? One of my great beliefs is there is, and I base this belief on a lot of thinking, in particular a philosopher of mine named David Chambers. And David Chambers says there's something called the hard problem of consciousness. The consciousness that we all have, the I, the subjectivity, and he says that that was something that was in the universe like matter, like energy from the very beginning. There's consciousness all the way down. The lowest levels of being have some low level of consciousness, some primitive consciousness, and even atoms, when they come together and form more complicated molecules and more complicated molecules, what gives them the ability to do that is this low level of consciousness. That particular idea is the basis of the dissertation I'm writing right now, which talks about process philosophy. What is process philosophy? It says that the world is not made up of substances, mind or matter. The world is made up of little bits of consciousness at the lowest level, and they come together to form higher levels of consciousness, leading right up to the human soul and the human understanding. And so with that in mind, if consciousness permeates everything, put it in the back of your mind until later on in the series when we begin to talk about idealism. Idealism is, it's all consciousness. But for the moment, if there's dualism, if there's mind and matter, where and how does mind enter